You said you could end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours.
Yes, I could.
How would you do that?
I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well, even better. And I had a good relationship, very good, with both of them. I would tell Zelensky, no more. You got to make a deal. I would tell Putin, if you don't make a deal, we're going to give them a lot. We're going to give them more than they ever got if we have to. I will have the deal done in one day. One day.
That was former President Trump laying out his plan to end the war in Ukraine while speaking with Maria on Sunday Morning Futures. Russian President Vladimir Putin now commenting on the cluster bombs the United States is providing Ukraine. Putin warning that Moscow has a, quote, sufficient stockpile of the controversial weapons and will use them if Ukraine does. Joining me now is Missouri Congressman Mark Alford. He is a member of the House Armed Services, Small Business and Agricultural Committees. Congressman, good morning to you. Your response to, there's a couple of things here. I mean, first off, obviously we are helping the Ukrainians with ammo, but what do you make of that threat from Vladimir Putin?
Look, we've got to aid Ukraine. I'm not in favor of sending any more money to Ukraine. But look, we've committed to 2 million artillery shells going to Ukraine. These cluster munitions are simply a fill gap. They may not be used, but it's going to hopefully be a deterrent to further aggression to Vladimir Putin. Well,
that's certainly the hope. But let's talk about where American armed services are right now in our military. So you've got National Security Council spokesman John Kirby. He says the Biden administration is now working to restock our weapons stocks after the president let military information slip out. Watch.
We're working very closely with the defense industry to try to ramp up production, particularly for artillery shells. You saw that we gave some cluster munitions to Ukraine as a bridging solution here while we ramp up production. We're having very, very strong conversations with the defense industry, and we believe that we'll be able to get there.
So clean up on aisle 5 there, Congressman, from John Kirby because of what the president let slip. But, if you look at how long it takes, so they're talking about it's the 155 millimeter weapons. That's specifically what they're talking about. That was Kirby's. OK, those take 4 to 7 years to replenish. And I'm sorry, but the defense industry wants guarantees, that they're actually going to get they're going to be hiring, they're going to ramp up production. That can't just be some temporary fix because President Biden slipped and now Kirby's trying to save face for his boss.
You're absolutely right, Cheryl. We have to be ready for the pacing threat of Communist China and their aggression towards Taiwan. We have to have the stockpile of ammunitions that we need, in particular the 155 rounds that are going to be the most used. We have to have the HIMARS rockets that we need. We have to have the naval assets that we need. And that's why in the National Defense Authorization Act, we went beyond the president's budget. We want to rebuild our military. We want to add ships, not take away the number of ships. So as we look at the world stage now, we don't need just to be concerned about Russia and its aggression towards Ukraine and potentially the Balkan states, but also what are we going to do about Communist China? What can we do now to make sure that they do not invade Taiwan?
Well, OK, so John Kerry's over there right now, the climate envoy, the third Biden official that's been over there in just a few weeks. Boy, we sure are spending a lot of taxpayer money on jet travel to China. Your reaction?
Yeah, and a lot of carbon emissions, wouldn't you say? But, we've had Blinken, we've had Yeltsin, and now Kerry. It sounds like a bad law firm going over there. We don't need to be concerned about climate change. We need to be intent on changing China and their actions towards Taiwan. They're spying on the U.S., sending spy balloons over our very district here in the 4th Congressional District of Missouri. We've got to change their attitude towards stealing our intellectual property and sending that deadly fentanyl through the porous border of the United States of America and Mexico and killing 100,000 of our fellow citizens each year. Those things need to change, not the climate necessarily at this point.
Real quick before you go, I do want to ask you about something. Last week, you and your colleagues at the House, they passed, there was the Republican defense bill, basically. This was defense,
right?
The budget, okay? So it was a 219 to 210 vote, $886 billion bill. Now the Biden administration is saying this is never going to see the light of day because there were things that were added in as far as transgender surgeries and hormone treatments that were covered for the military members, men and women, and then also the abortion side of that as well. So what is your reaction to the administration and the Democrats saying it's not happening, that bill's not going to go anywhere?
Well, Cheryl, as a freshman member of Congress, I'm dedicated to two things: voting my conscience and voting my district. I voted for the NDA because my conscience and my district wants us to have a strong military and wants us to get the woke out of the military. We are intent on doing that. We're not paying for travel to get an abortion. If you are stationed at Fort Hood here, I'm sorry, Fort Leonard Wood in our district, you're not going to be reimbursed for travel to Illinois to get an abortion, or Kansas. That's just not going to happen. It is covered under the Hyde Amendment, and that is simply what we're doing. We're living up to the law that is 40 years old. We've got to get back to renewing the strength in our military, and that includes getting the woke out, fully funding our military so they can do the job at hand.
Congressman Mark Alford, it's always great to have you on the show, Congressman. Come back soon.